Now on Fox 13 News at 9, a frightening situation for one driver on I-15. What he wants UDOT to do to make sure no other driver goes through what he experienced.
More storms are on the way today. Cloudy sky with haze, but improvements to our air quality and more chances for rain and snow. Travel impacts coming up.
Plus, extremely long lines impacting traffic, all to just get tested for COVID-19. Fox 13 News is looking into how you can avoid the long wait and the impact the record-breaking demand is having.
A woman is facing criminal charges after making a scene and causing a disturbance at Salt Lake International Airport. We'll explain why she was arrested.
They've been serving pizza and beer since when Dwight Eisenhower was president. I'll tell you what happened to this iconic restaurant in Sunset.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
New tonight, video shows a large chunk of ice smashing into a windshield on I-15 in Salt Lake County. It happened after a snowstorm in December.
Fox 13's John Franke spoke with the driver who was frustrated tonight by the response from UDOT. John.
Well, guys, this is really scary because this could happen to any of us out there. The driver says he saw that ice falling and just braced himself for impact.
I was just passing below the sign and crashed. The block of ice hit me.
This video was recorded on the dash cam of Marcin Karpinski's Kia Telluride on December 17th. Marcin describes this as an ice missile. You can see it at the passenger side of his windshield. He filed a report with UHP and took that report to UDOT. He was hoping they would take responsibility for the $1,500 repair bill, but he says that didn't happen.
If I do not remove the snow from my vehicle and I caused that, I'm responsible. I caused it. Whereas when they don't remove the snow from the sign, they are not. They claim it's not our fault. So this kind of bothers me a little bit here.
Marcin's thankful nobody was hurt. He believes this experience proves why it's important for everyone, including drivers, to remove snow and ice from cars or anything else where it can cause a hazard.
Could have went through and hit me or somebody else, like on passenger side. It could really be hurtful, and so please remove the snow. Truck, small car, whatever you have, just take care of that.
And we reached out to UDOT. They say they are reviewing the video and the complaint and will share more information on this tomorrow. We'll bring that to you as soon as we learn more. Reporting live tonight in Salt Lake County, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
You copy?
Oh, this is just incredible. What you're seeing there is new video near Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where a man was rescued after being caught in an avalanche on Sunday afternoon. The avalanche was triggered by the men's snowmobiles. Fortunately, the man who was buried, you saw his arms there, he had a partner close by who was able to dig him out.
Now, this morning, the Utah Avalanche Center shared video of a slide that was triggered at Alta Ski area. There are many thin spots in the snow and many variations in the snowpack. That means a human can easily cause one of these slides. So even though the likelihood of triggering one goes down, the consequences do not. That is the situation in much of Utah. Experts recommend you stay on low-angle slopes or stay on south-facing slopes.
Good advice. We have a lot of fresh new snow on top of old, sugary, as they describe it, Allison, snow, which becomes weak.
Yes, and people are wanting to get up into the mountains to escape the valley inversions that have developed. Right now in Logan, air quality is quite a bit worse than it was earlier today. It's still at that orange to red level, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups to unhealthy. Once you get into Layton, air quality is also a little bit worse than it was this afternoon with that moderate to orange air. And then here across the Salt Lake Valley, if you're on the east side belt, looking really good for air quality right now along I-215 on that east side belt, and then down into Sandy, out towards West Jordan and South Jordan looking good. But then once you're into West Valley over towards Midvale, air quality becomes that orange level again, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups. Utah County, a mixture of good to moderate air. Southern Utah, good air, and storms are on the way. Right now, 25 degrees here in Salt Lake, 29 in Ogden, 29 currently in Provo. Let me show you satellite and radar because we have a lot of clouds that have moved in, and we'll start seeing some precipitation moving in just a couple of hours also. I'm tracking several more storms. Details on winter weather advisories and areas of blowing snow for travel impacts coming up.
Allison, thank you. A staggering 14,754 new cases of COVID-19 were reported over the holiday weekend. The highest single day total was 4,659. That came on Thursday. It's the second highest daily count Utah has ever seen, coming just shy of the record set on December 30th of 2020. Hospitalizations also saw a jump, but the total number of people in the ICU has actually dropped.
Bob, we're now about 2 years into the pandemic, and some of you may be tired about hearing about it, but it's tough to ignore the long lines of cars wrapping around the block at COVID-19 testing sites on a daily basis right now.
But if you don't want to sit in your vehicle for hours waiting to be tested, Fox 13's Emily Tenser has found there are other options available.
In West Jordan, in Draper, in Provo, lines and lines of cars waiting hours to get a COVID test.
We got here at 9. We got out of here by 11:30, 12. We had our results by 1:32.
Test Utah saw a record number of those wanting to be tested Monday. Despite the demand, results are still turning around within an average of 24 hours.
They only had rapid tests. They ran out of PCR testing. Which we were fine with. I kind of wanted to know sooner than later, right?
The city of Draper had to even close a section of the road due to high volume of traffic lining up.
To go out of your way and wait a couple hours in line, it sucks. But if it protects somebody that you care or you love, it's worth it.
The Department of Health's testing deputy director says having enough staff to meet that demand is their biggest concern right now.
We've been trying to monitor the wait times and shift staff between a less busy site to maybe go and help out at a busier site when there's more cars in line at that time to go and help get people through.
Brittany Brown says once the state heard of Omicron's impact on other countries, they started prepping to make sure they were ready when it hit here.
We've also started handing out home test kits once the line gets longer than an hour, so that if individuals are just waiting to know if they have COVID, they don't need an official result, they can take that test kit home, get out of line so we can get more people through quicker.
If you don't feel like waiting in long lines like this, there are other options. You could go to other locations that are less busy. You could get a take-home test, or you can schedule an appointment at a pharmacy or a clinic. Intermountain Healthcare offers self-serve saliva testing, and you can also schedule an appointment with the University of Utah Health.
That sort of takes the line out of the equation. You know, you'll get an appointment for a time that we have the resources to help you, and the waiting will be very minimal.
On the state's website, you can find a list of all testing locations to determine the best test and time for you. Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Many medical experts believe this surge would not be happening if everyone had gotten vaccinated as soon as possible. I spoke with Dr. Jay Jacobson this afternoon, a professor emeritus of internal medicine and medical ethics at the University of Utah. He says if we don't change our behavior with social distancing, masking up, and getting vaccinated, COVID-19 infections and mutations will continue. But on the brighter side, he says if the less severe Omicron variant is any indication, it may get to the point that COVID is treated like many other illnesses when it comes to work and school environments.
And we may be very fortunate that the Omicron variant may in fact be less morbid and produce fewer deaths than the other variants. If that were to be the case, and we continue to make progress with protection and vaccines, what you said could happen.
Dr. Jacobson says that's a judgment businesses and schools will need to make in the future as the pandemic continues.
The Food and Drug Administration has authorized Pfizer's COVID booster shot for people 12 to 15 years old. The agency also reduced the amount of time everyone should wait between receiving a second vaccine dose and the booster shot from 6 months now down to 5 months. The FDA additionally approved a third primary series dose of Pfizer shot for some immunocompromised children 5 to 11 years old. Now, kids who receive Moderna or Johnson & Johnson primary vaccine doses may get the Pfizer booster. New tonight, a child is fighting for their life after a crash in Layton. Police there say just after 3 o'clock this afternoon, the child's mother was driving on State Road 193 when a truck trying to enter the road at Fort Lane collided with her car. The 36-year-old mother suffered serious injuries. The child's injuries are listed as life-threatening. The pickup truck driver was not injured. They could face charges of failure to yield. Police do not believe either driver was impaired.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
Police say she caused quite the scene over the weekend, screaming at officers, forcing everybody to get off of the plane, and even yelling the N-word twice. We'll show you what led up to all of this.
First dates, 21st birthdays, and just average Sundays watching football. A lot of people gather at this Sunset restaurant. We'll tell you what they're going to do now.
And one of the biggest businesses in Utah is set to go to court. We'll explain what's at stake for Vivint. We're learning more about a Pennsylvania woman who was arrested over the weekend at Salt Lake International Airport. Police say she kicked a police officer and made such a scene that Delta Airlines employees had to take everyone off her flight. Fox 13's Adam Herbetz has the video you'll only see here.
Stop! 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 I don't live in Utah!
People at the airport had no choice but to sit there and watch as Salt Lake City police arrested 30-year-old Jacqueline Fleury on New Year's Eve.
She was asked numerous times to leave. It caused delays in the flight. They had to deplane the entire airplane.
Bystanders tell Fox 13 she made such a scene that people boarding other flights decided to walk over to the gate and take video.
They told me I'm getting an aisle.
They refunded her fare. She did kick an officer. I checked in, and it was minor injuries, no hospitalizations.
Police say the hurt officer went back to work, and Fleury's flying privileges were revoked. Eventually, the flight took off without her. Fleury was booked and allowed to be released so long as she appears in court when required. But police say the real victims are the other passengers who have already had to deal with enough drama traveling around the holidays.
These are people who might be headed out for that Christmas vacation that they surprise their family with, or a business matter that they're trying to get to, or maybe even an important or tragic event with a loved one. And so this can really boil over and cause other problems.
Jacqueline Fleury was booked on 3 misdemeanor charges over the weekend: disorderly conduct, assaulting a peace officer, and interfering with an arrest. We have been trying to get a hold of her today and throughout the weekend. So far, we have not been successful. Reporting at the airport tonight, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The FAA says there were thousands of incidents involving unruly passengers last year. 5,779 cases were reported in the U.S. through December 21st. More than 4,000 of those cases were mask-related incidents.
This is, of course, an older building. It's unprotected. It doesn't have a sprinkling system in it, so fire runs really rapidly through the attic. It didn't take long for it to spread through.
It was an eatery and watering hole for generations of people in Davis County, but last night a fire destroyed the Circle Inn Pizzeria. Fox 13's Nate Carlisle went to Sunset to learn about what was lost and now the hopes of rebuilding.
Sunset residents just called the bar and restaurant The Circle. Garrett Schroeder was its owner, steward of a legacy.
It's my life. It was here before I was born. Sorry. 1957, it took over the whole building. Right now we're 4 generations. We were raised in the 5th.
The fire ignited about 11:30 Sunday night. The Circle was closed. No one was hurt. Schroeder said the fire started in the kitchen, but he doesn't know why.
The pizzas are amazing. They make their own sauce. You get a hot or a mild or a medium.
Doug Dominguez says he'd been coming here for 25 years.
I brought my daughter here when she turned 21. Me and my wife came for our first date here. What now? I don't know. Hopefully they rebuild.
Our message to you guys would be, we're going to fight and do everything we can to rebuild this place.
Schroeder said the building was insured. The family also has started a GoFundMe account with the goal of raising $250,000. In Sunset, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coronavirus concerns have postponed a civil trial for Vivint Smart Home. The Utah-based company was supposed to square off today against competitor CPI Security inside a North Carolina courtroom. Instead, the judge postponed the trial to February 14th. CPI is asking a federal jury for at least $15 million, accusing Vivint sales staff of lying to CPI customers to sign them up for Vivint monitoring. Vivint has denied any deceptive practices.
We have more storms on the way here in Utah. Right now, 25 degrees, full visibility, but blowing snow will become a problem over the next couple of days. Our main problem today, it was still a chilly morning, and also our air quality. Right now here in Salt Lake County, we have moderate air. That's the forecast also for tomorrow. But by Wednesday, we are tracking good air quality. Temperatures in Logan will finally be rising, but you are socked in with an inversion right now at 14 degrees, 19 for Brigham City. Speaking of Brigham City and Logan, if you're traveling Sardine this week, especially Tuesday through Thursday, expect travel impacts. 25 for Salt Lake right now, 21 for Tooele. Temperatures in Provo right now, 29 degrees, 11 in Vernal, 12 in Price, 16 in Moab, and for St. George, currently 41 degrees. Overnight temps here in Salt Lake for early tomorrow morning, upper 20s, hazy conditions, and we'll have our wind out of the south about 10 to 20 miles per hour. We have winter weather advisories that kick in at 5 a.m. tomorrow in the mountains and last through Thursday at 5 a.m. So what is a winter weather advisory? It is an official advisory from the National Weather Service. It's not as high of an alert as a winter storm warning. Warning is always going to be the highest level, but it is still something that brings potentially dangerous weather. Either it's expected or it's occurring. And in our case right now, it is expected to start tomorrow and impact us on and off through Thursday. Travel difficulties are expected, so just be aware of that, especially blowing snow with this particular winter weather advisory. For our mountain passes like I-80 and also Sardine over the next few days, as I mentioned earlier. So speed through Tuesday, 5 a.m., Thursday to 5 a.m., and let me show you why. We've got an area of high pressure off the coast right now, several waves of energy coming in, bringing us chances for rain and snow, wintry mixed here in the valleys, snow up in the mountains, and we've got cold temperatures for our overnight temps, and then our daytime highs are rising. But cold, I guess not relatively speaking, but you know, compared to summer, of course, 30 degrees is going to feel a lot colder. But compared to the last few mornings, I think you can handle upper 20s tomorrow morning in Provo, 33 for Ogden, 27 in Logan tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we keep things in the mid to upper 30s. So that's why we're tracking a wintry mix here in Salt Lake over the next few days. But our chance of precipitation starts tomorrow, widely scattered to scattered. Tomorrow night, widespread into Wednesday night. That's when we're tracking likely precipitation, and another wave into Saturday. For St. George, your temperatures are on the rise. Look at this, close to 60 degrees Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Overnight temps in the 30s for St. George, and along the Wasatch Front, Our highs are in the 30s Tuesday, Wednesday, into the 40s Thursday, Friday. More chances for snow as we start the weekend. We'll talk about potential snow totals coming up later in the hour.
Allison, thank you. Still ahead on Fox 13 News at 9. She's making history after winning a razor-thin election. We'll introduce you to the first woman to become mayor of Sandy, Utah.
Plus, an update on the aftermath of the destructive wildfires in Colorado as recovery efforts now kick in. Welcome back, everyone. Today, there were a lot of local leaders sworn in across the Wasatch Front, and it was also a day for the history books in Salt Lake County. At the Salt Lake City and County building, the city's newest council members took the oath of office, marking the first time the majority of the council was made up by minorities. Council members we talked to said this was a historic moment and represents a change in city politics.
I think it is very important. So we represent all the voices and we bring all the voices to the table.
It's really exciting to be a part of a representational trend and a new mandate to be responsive to all people of Salt Lake City.
Victoria Petro-Eschler, who you just heard from, will represent District 1. Alejandro Puy was elected in District 2, while Chris Wharton was sworn in to represent District 3. Darren Mano and Amy Fowler are representing Districts 5 and 7.
And in Sandy, another historic moment at Sandy's first female mayor was sworn into office. In November, Monica Zoltansky was elected over 8 candidates through ranked choice voting. Recounts delayed election results for weeks, but in the end, Zoltansky had 21 more votes than challenger Jim Bennett. Today, she took the oath of office at the Alta High School Performing Arts Center. She called the moment historic.
And I know that a lot of people are looking at this moment, as am I, as historic and groundbreaking. I'm proud to be chosen as the mayor, as a trailblazer, and I respect and value the opportunity the voters of Sandy have given me to lead.
Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson and other Utah leaders spoke at the ceremony. Sandy City Council members Brooke D'Souza, Ryan Meekum, and Zach Robinson were also sworn in today.
Today is back to school for a lot of Utah students. What school districts are doing in the wake of the massive Omicron variant numbers coming up.
Just how big is the Omicron spike in Utah and where is it being felt the most? We're going to tell you.
And coming up in Fox 13 Sports, an update on Utah quarterback Cam Rising after he was injured. He took a tough one in the Rose Bowl. New numbers today show some of the state's highest daily COVID case counts ever. Over the past 4 days, we've seen a total of more than 14,000 new cases.
Many Utah K-12 students went back to school today as districts prepare for the Omicron variant to impact classrooms.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph spoke with multiple district officials today who say for right now, they're sticking with what has worked.
It's back to school day for many Utah students. And for Canyon School District,
we are a school district of 34,000 students, 6,000 employees, 50 schools and programs.
The spread of the Omicron variant has been a major part of the conversation.
A lot of questions about how we would be operating as we saw the case counts start to go up.
But right now, they, along with many other districts, are confident that all the protocols in place will keep schools safe.
We've only had one school move to that test to stay protocol because of the efforts that we've made. So the mitigation efforts that we have in place now have worked.
Up the Salt Lake Valley, Granite School District is also taking precautions because of the Omicron variant.
Schools are a safe place. We've seen very low transmission rates as we continue to do those things that help us to stay safe.
Granite School District is also sticking to what has worked, but also reminding parents and students there are a lot of extra resources they have.
Take advantage of the vaccination clinics that we're offering in partnership with the County Health Department. Please let your principal know if you'd like a KN95 mask for your child. We have thousands of them, and we have all the resources available to help keep your child safe.
One major change for both districts is to line up with the CDC and local health departments, changing quarantine from 10 to 5 days, as well as adjusting isolation times.
So the big takeaways are the number of days that a person in isolation or quarantine would need to be away from school or work.
With case counts high and transmission increasing, communication is key.
We're constantly in communication with the health authorities and with our counterparts across the state.
We continue again to have those conversations. If they want to update or change guidance, we're going to be very interested in learning what that guidance would be.
And the main goal for this semester,
that students remain healthy as they obtain their education.
Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Going in depth now, it looks like Utah has turned the page to a new chapter in the pandemic.
Fox 13's Max Roth shows us where Omicron has hit the hardest.
The CDC reports last Wednesday's national case numbers as the highest on record, and Utah is a clear mirror of that national trend. First, the Utah Department of Health tracks which variants are responsible for new cases week by week. In these columns, the Delta variant is orange. Omicron is the blue that shouldered itself to dominance in the week ending Christmas Day. Clear evidence of Omicron's contagiousness, a statewide sudden spike. December 30th. 4,659 cases. That's Utah's second highest day for case totals. Looking around the state, here are the worst days for case numbers in the state's biggest health districts. Bear River, including Cache County, on November 20th, 2020. Southwest Utah, including Washington County, had its worst day December 1st of 2020. The Weber-Morgan District, December 30th, 2020, and Utah County on January 6th of 2021. But look at Salt Lake and Davis counties, Utah's first and third most populous. They just set new records for cases in one day, both last Thursday. And Summit and Wasatch counties on the Wasatch Back also set new records on Thursday and Friday. The thing we'll be watching for in the coming days, hospitalizations. The hope is that Omicron is less severe than Delta, though an increase in hospitalizations still may happen because there are simply so many cases. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In national news, a showdown in the Senate is looming over voting rights legislation. Democrats are moving forward with a plan to jumpstart their stalled voting rights bill. To do it, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants to change the Senate's filibuster rule, which requires 60 votes to overcome opposition in that body, crucial to passing a voting rights bill in the evenly split Senate. Changing the filibuster rule could have long-lasting impacts on the Senate, well past voting rights legislation, no matter who is in power.
If we don't protect voting rights, if we don't protect against the kind of un-American mischief to overturn elections in the future, nothing else we do will matter.
Does anybody think that if Republicans, if the 60 vote requirement goes away and Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, they wouldn't do things like impose a national voter ID requirement on, quote, voting rights?
Senator Schumer plans to schedule a vote on the filibuster rule in the next 2 weeks.
Bob, Utah Senator Mike Lee reacted to the possibility of a change to the filibuster rules. He called it a power grab and said if it passes, the Senate would become a, quote, strictly majoritarian, Lord of the Flies environment.
Election 2022 has already started with two Republican challengers to Utah Senior Senator Mike Lee. Allie Isom announced today she'll gather signatures to try to get a spot on the Republican primary ballot. Under Utah law, candidates can either go through the convention process or gather signatures to get on the ballot. Isom's campaign has said she will do both.
Becky Edwards also announced today she's gathering signatures to secure a spot on the Republican primary ballot. Edwards previously told Fox 13 News she would also seek to get the nomination through the state Republican Party convention. The race to unseat incumbent Republican Senator Mike Lee could see several challengers. Polling currently shows him with a big lead.
Is there still bad blood? The jury has reached a verdict in the highly anticipated and high-profile fraud case against disgraced Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes. Still to come.
Investigators are trying to pinpoint exactly where the Colorado wildfires first broke out. I'm Max Gordon in Louisville, Colorado. All of the latest coming up.
And we do have more chances for rain and snow here over the next couple of days. Coming up, I have snow total forecasts, and I think some of you may be surprised.
In national news, a jury found former Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes guilty of 4 counts of fraud and conspiracy. The jury convicted Holmes on 4 counts of the 11 accounts against her, including wire fraud as well as conspiracy to commit fraud. They found her not guilty on 4 other charges and were deadlocked on the last 3 remaining charges. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Federal authorities said Holmes duped investors and patients about her blood testing technology, which they say was inherently flawed but marketed as a medical breakthrough.
In Colorado, the Boulder County Sheriff says a full investigation into what started the Colorado wildfires will take some time. But law enforcement is already looking into some leads, including a viral video that shows what could be where the first fire originated. Fox's Max Gordon has the latest from Louisville, Colorado.
Officials looking into the cause of the Marshall Fire in Colorado have narrowed their search to an area where a burning shed was spotted on the morning the fire broke out.
We don't know that that shed or anything around it was the actual start of the fire or whether it was secondary. Something ignited the fire in that wind on a red flag day.
The Denver Post reports investigators were seen coming and going from buildings owned by a religious sect in the neighborhood. The group denies the fire started on their property. Wind gusts topping 100 miles per hour pushed flames into the suburbs north of Denver, where nearly 1,000 homes were destroyed. This man returning to find his house reduced to its foundations. Firefighters helping him crack open this safe, just ashes left inside.
I had all my papers, my home papers, and figured, hey, this thing won't burn.
The fast spread was fueled by drought conditions which have persisted since last summer, making grass and vegetation dry out and burn quickly. Climate experts say it's the latest indication of a climate crisis.
This kind of event that happens in December with a lot of rain to increase fuels early in the year and then no rain later in the year that dries them out is very much associated with climate change.
Climate change is here now. That this is not some future threat that we have to deal with at some point someday, but this is here and now.
As of Monday, search teams were still looking for 2 people missing after the fire. They're feared dead after their homes were found consumed by the flames. In Louisville, Colorado, Max Gordon, Fox 13 Utah.
Still ahead, what you need to do now if you want to hike Angel's Landing or visit Arches National Park beginning in April.
I'm Andrea Urban. The Utah Jazz begin their 5-game road trip tonight in New Orleans. Can they get back in the win column? Plus, Utes QB Cam Rising was hit hard in the 4th quarter of the Rose Bowl. We have an update on how Cam is feeling from himself after that game with his apparent head injury. So you'll hear from Cam, that and more coming up in sports.
A state lawmaker has filed a proposed Utah constitutional amendment to end partisan school board elections.
Instead, North Salt Lake Representative Melissa Garf-Ballard is proposing the governor appoint members to a stripped-down school board. The proposed amendment and companion bill were filed today ahead of the 2022 legislative session. Now, if it passes, voters would decide in November.
A coalition of religious leaders and advocates for the poor is calling for Governor Spencer Cox to activate the Utah National Guard to help the homeless. The coalition says since staffing shelters is difficult right now, the governor should use National Guard personnel to get them open. They say hundreds of people are at risk of freezing to death in the cold and snow if something isn't done immediately. If the governor will not use the Guard, the coalition says he should have state employees staff the shelters.
The state has now ended its investigation into comments made by Silicon Slopes tech CEO. The comments by Domo CEO Josh James, they were captured on camera by Fox 13 News in an October breakfast meeting where tech company CEOs were somewhat critical of the state legislature.
I don't understand why the state gave me over $10 million to stay in Utah. It's incomprehensible to me. There's no chance in hell I was ever going to leave, but I got $10 million in tax credits from the state of Utah to stay. And I'll take it. If everyone else is taking it, I'll take it. But I'm also happy to give it back if we can get rid of that law and we can stop paying people from outside the state to come in and hire my employees that I want to try to hire or take them away. I just don't understand that part of the budget that we use.
Well, those were the comments that sparked an investigation into whether Domo violated any incentives deals with the state. The investigation has now concluded, and the state says Domo cooperated. They found that Domo is being competitive, has looked at leaving Utah, and is not a breach of any agreements. In fact, the governor's office recommends they continue to get incentives.
A neighborhood in Centerville woke up to a water problem this morning. The Public Works Department says 15 to 20 homes on Chase Lane near Oak Ridge Drive had no water to take showers, wash dishes, do laundry, or flush the toilet because of a broken main. The deputy director says bolts holding one of its valves became loose, causing about 350,000 gallons of water to escape, pushing dirt and debris onto the road. Crews spent hours cleaning it up and worked to fix the broken line, but Mother Nature was no help.
All the work that we're doing is getting wet and freezing, so we've got to de-ice and then try to clean up some more.
The road will take several weeks, if not months, to repair. People who use that road should look for detours for the foreseeable future. The lottery for hiking Angel's Landing opened today. Zion National Park will require permits for the popular trail beginning April 1st. To hike during April or May, you can apply for a permit now through January 20th. The application costs $6. It's $3 per person to hike if you get a permit. If you don't get a permit or are making last-minute plans, you can apply the day before you hike. But those permits are more limited.
Quite the hike there. Also today, reservations became available for timed entry into Arches National Park. It's a pilot program the park is implementing beginning April 1st, trying to better manage crowds. Now, you will need a reservation to enter the park between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. The park will release reservations 3 months in advance in monthly blocks, meaning today you can start signing up for dates in April. We do have more information on both of these new systems on our website, fox13now.com.
Heard a spot on the radio today, Allison, about Bryce Canyon and the hoodoos there being covered with snow.
Yes, pretty magical, all the pictures that we're seeing from across the state with our snow the last couple of days and more snow on the way. Magical as long as it's not negatively impacting you, right? 25 here in Salt Lake right now, 29 for Ogden. What's not magical, the valley inversions that we had today. Cold temperatures, hazy sky in the Cache Valley, 14 right now for Logan. Down in St. George, 41 degrees. Here's what we have going on. Clouds have increased, so our overnight temperatures will not be as cold as the last few mornings. Hallelujah, right? It was such a cold start to the day the last few days. And here's what you can expect for tonight. A little bit of a breeze out of the south, around 10 to 20 miles per hour for Salt Lake, Harriman, over towards Twilla, Grantsville, up through Ogden, Layton, Logan. I have better air quality for you in the forecast and potentially a lot of snow. Same thing for Ogden. Here's what you need to know. Winter weather advisories today. This afternoon, they issued these to start tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. for the areas highlighted in this purple color. That is the mountains of northern Utah all the way down past Highway 6, so past Spanish Fork for the mountains, into the Uintas, the western Uintas. We have winter weather advisories for the Evanston area. That was initially a high wind watch, but they decided to reframe that as a winter weather advisory because blowing snow will be a concern. And this does include the Cache Valley. So tomorrow morning when you wake up here in Salt Lake, the chance for a few snow showers, the wintry mix possible at times because we are going to be right on that line of cold temperatures that are depending on the intensity of the precipitation with the warmer temps throughout the day tomorrow, since it'll be about 30 to 35 when you first wake up for Salt Lake, Ogden, and Provo. We're going to have those temperatures during the afternoon still in the mid-30s. So we are right at that line of that wintry mix. Snow at times, rain at times, a mixture at times. So let me show you this, because Futurecast through 6 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to start getting some scattered snow showers going first thing tomorrow morning. The mountains and the valleys north of I-80 will see very impressive results out of this over the next several days. Same thing for the mountains south of I-80. Through Tuesday at 1 p.m., we're looking at a mixture here in the valleys with more mountain snowfall, a mixture into Thursday as well. And then we're going to see that clearing out and then another system moving in on Saturday. So how much snow are we talking about? That's a great question. Here in Salt Lake, mainly 2 to 6 inches of snow. Ogden, more than that at 6 to 10. Logan, 6 to 11. The time frame for this, tomorrow through Thursday morning. So this is over the course of 48 hours. So if you get a few inches here or there, that can really pile up. Tooele, 1 to 3 inches over that time frame. Alta, 20 to 30. Expect winter driving conditions. If you are in town visiting and you don't know if you have snow tires, you probably don't, and just use caution in the mountains for our mountain passes. Provo, 4 to 9 inches of snow. St. George, you're close to 60 by this weekend. Bob was saying this is golfing weather, right? Not in the morning, get a late tea time. Some very chilly mornings still, but comfortable afternoons. Here along the Wasatch Front, upper 30s Wednesday, mid 40s Thursday, Friday. That's what we're tracking, that chance for some rain to mix in. By Saturday, chance for some early snow showers.
The Warriors put an end to Utah's second longest win streak of the season. So now the Jazz are on a 5-game road trip starting tonight in New Orleans, and they're trying to get back on the winning side. When we go to New Orleans, Jazz Pelicans, it wasn't easy. Jordan Clarkson, Jazz trailing. He's showing off his long range with this 3. Tied at 29 in the second. Rudy Gay can't get it to fall, but the other Rudy Gobert, takes care of it. Godzilla with another double-double tonight. 2 minutes before the half, Jazz down by 1. Donovan Mitchell creating space. The shot downtown is good, despite it contributed 29. In tie game, Josh Hart from deep to give New Orleans the lead. And Pelicans opened the second half with this monster dunk by Valanciunas. He had 25. The Jazz pull away in the fourth. The behind-the-back pass puts Josh Hart on skates. And Bogey always comes through when we need him. Count 3 of his 21 as the Jazz start their road trip with a win over New Orleans, 115 to 104. Sophomore quarterback Cam Rising is a staple to the leadership and success of the Utes. Now, he went down in the fourth quarter of the Rose Bowl after taking a hard sack where he hit his head on the ground. Well, we have an update from QB1. Cam wrote today on Twitter, Ute fans, I want to say thank you for all of your concern and let you know I am doing well. And I'm at home with my family. I am so proud of this team, and I can't wait for what the future holds. Now, Cam finished the year with nearly 2,500 passing yards and 20 touchdowns. We can all look forward to seeing more Cam Rising this fall. And Utah Gymnastics begins its season this weekend at the Maverick Center in the Best of Utah. So BYU, Utah State, and Southern Utah will also be competing. I sat down with the Pac-12 Gymnast of the Year, Miley O'Keefe, to talk about goals for this weekend.
Our goal as a team is just to go out and hit as many routines as we can as possible, because it's the first week, so we're just kind of studying our base, but you want to set a good base, you build off the base. This year, we have the capability of having 4 amazing events. With that being said, that's what you need to win a national championship. I'm so excited to see what we can do this year.
And Monday Night Football, Browns at the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger taking the field in what is most likely his last home game. Got to send the 18-season vet out on a dub. Now, scoreless in the second quarter, Big Ben finds Deontay Johnson, who manages to get the ball over the line for the touchdown. 7-zip Steelers. A minute left in the game. Ben hands it off to Harris, who breaks free. 37 yards to the house, as Steelers get the 26-14 win to send Ben out on the highest note. And we'll be right back.
Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9.
Quick Cast is next.